Right. Well, welcome everybody. I hope everybody is doing well. Welcome from all of us here at Century in Hickory, North Carolina, as well as our High Point showroom. We've got some great guests today for you down and around in our High Point showroom at 200 Steel on the second floor. I want to welcome everybody in to Wednesdays at 1 p.m., and that is our kind of monthly gathering that we have been broadcasting from Century. It's just a wonderful time to get together. That's 1 o'clock Eastern on the third Wednesday of each month. And what we've been doing is gathering a very great group of presenters to bring some ideas and concepts and best practices. We've been giving some product previews. Recently, we actually went over COM of all things and made that super interesting with our fine folks at the factory, and then have added that out as well. So we did some really good things, even with our customer service group in that. We've given a good tutorial of our Designer Studio, which is kind of our behind the scenes website. So lots of kind of interesting things and topics. And today is no different. So real quick, I'm Guy Holbrook, Executive VP of Sales here at Century, and glad to be one of the hosts that'll be along this journey with us today. I'll talk to you a little bit about kind of what the programming is. We try to make this fun and educational. So it's great when you can participate. So a quick reminder, one, this will be live right now. And then we also have the replay available on Designer Studio. So if you go to Designer Studio, you'll see some headers at the top. One of them says education. If you click on education, go over to the right, you'll see webinar. So we actually repost this. We'll edit a little bit, so it may be a couple days, but we'll put it out there and have that out there for you. So beyond the kind of educational things that we're doing, we also have been giving some really nice product previews. And we did market for the April market. We had some great product presentations. And one of our presenters is actually going to come back today. So we've got two of them today. One is Alexa Smith, who is our Director of Marketing. She'll be directing all of our photography and kind of running the show and testing the technology today. And then beyond that, we're going to have Mr. Justin Bennix. And Justin is our Vice President of Case Goods and Outdoor, as well as lighting. That's right, lighting. It's amazing. We've got a great new category that we have reintroduced. We had some lighting probably about a decade or decade and a half ago through Grand Tour. Really pretty things, kind of unique things. And we've kind of gotten out of it. But we brought in Justin 2 years ago with his great talents to help us on the case goods side and outdoor side. And Justin has spent almost 30 years of his career in the high end with Nearman Weeks and formerly president of that great organization. So very trade specific and high end custom trade kind of case goods as well as lighting. And he has brought his passion for lighting to Century. We've gone across the globe. We found the best designers of lighting. We found some of the best manufacturers and sources for lighting around the earth. And we have brought those materials and talents together underneath the Century umbrella for the back end to order and manage and handle this new category for us. And my goodness, we went to market and had an overwhelming response to it. Beautiful display as we have chandeliers and even table lamps and some other fixtures for you. So Justin's going to take us through. He's done a really nice job of doing kind of a lighting 101, which helped our team understand the concept of lighting, everything all the way from bulbs into like how much and how little, where to hang, all these things that are a little bit foreign to us as furniture folks. So it was really great. He's going to give part of that presentation and then also come back and fill in the blanks with the beautiful product. So super excited about that. Just as a quick reminder, any questions you have, there's a little Q&A ability to put those in. I think you can type those in. We'll either answer those live or we will type those back out to you individually. So without further ado, we're going to bring in the talent and let Mr. Justin Bennix take over and rock and roll for us. So welcome everybody and hold on to your boots. Good things happening.
Thank you, Guy, for that wonderful introduction. I really do appreciate it. Kind of capitalizing on what Guy alluded to, and that is that we are bringing back this category of lighting to the Century portfolio of items to offer, categories to offer. I think that, as interior designers and, people in the home industry, we all recognize that, along with mirrors and other accessories, that lighting has become really an important piece of jewelry for every interior. And us kind of re-engaging in that category is really allowing us to now bring back all the elements that interior designers and as well as our dealers and our retailers to have all the tools they need for that sort of complete home from top to bottom. So, we are really excited to be presenting this category back. And so the first thing that I'm going to run through is, as Guy mentioned, sort of a tutorial on Lighting 101. We're just going to kind of touch on some of the aspects of how Century is approaching the lighting, as well as some of the generic questions that typically get asked that sometimes you may not readily remember to educate yourself on. So things like, how big should my chandelier be over a table, or how high should I hang it over a table, and what is a lumen versus wattage, and things of that nature. So this one, I hope not to be too dry on some of the technical aspects, and then we'll. But that's why I'm looking at the pretty things till later. So gotta kind of hold you in here. So, but anyway, I will go ahead and share my little program here, and we will get started. And let me just make sure everybody was able to see what we are. Oop, come on. Sorry, I just need to. All right. So are we seeing?
I can see it, but it looks like it's the full screen. So maybe hit presentation on there and see if that'll pop into a presentation screen for you.
A little spin, a little circle spin of death on a black screen on mine. Let me see if this will clear up here in a second.
Well, as Justin is working on that real quick, I do want to kind of just basically reiterate to folks. We typically do this on the third Wednesday of every month. And this summer, we are going to email out our schedule. We've got a couple folks that may be bouncing in and out of the office during our breaks. And as those things happen, we will update you and give you our updated schedule. Also, would want our guests to know that if there are topics that we haven't covered yet that may be of interest to you for us to cover and work with you on, please let us know. You can let your rep know, you can call me, you can text me or email me, or let Justin or Comer or Justin know. But we'd be super excited if there's certain things that you want us to cover that maybe we haven't covered before. So we've got lots of new technology that are out there, from visualization softwares to a brand new quote tool that we're working on that's super cool, and some other items along those ways. So Justin, I know you're still working on it a little bit. If not,
I think we may have gotten this thing to restart itself. So let's see what we can do here.
I love it, man. Technology is great. If you need me to, let me know too after it restarts. I might be able to pull that up locally here off of mine.
Okay. Hopefully we are now
beautiful
looking at, oh, this is great. Okay. It wouldn't be a Wednesday at 1 without any tech issues. So, we're product people. What do we know about technology?
That's right. Well, Alexa told us this week we need to be authentic to who we are. I think that's about what we're doing. That's right. Have at it, my friend. I can see it's great. Beautiful.
Good deal. Okay. All right. So like I alluded to before, again, we really are excited to bring this category back. I hope everybody following along is as well. And we're just going to kind of dive into sort of, some of the background of all of this. What we're obviously presenting, when it comes to lighting as a general topic, it stems from every aspect of what produces light. What Century is obviously bringing to, back into the marketplace is ambient light, decorative lighting. We're not doing task lighting. We're not doing can lights and that type of, thing. These are meant to be decorative. They're meant to help set the mood and help create the environment that anybody is looking for in their home. So we will absolutely have these, more decorative pieces, and create that sort of ambient feel to it. With the way we will be sending out our fixtures. So for our hanging fixtures, I kind of want to go through just the basics of what arrives with the fixture. So every fixture that we ship will come with, hanging fixture that is, will come with 14 feet of wire, 6 feet of matching chain, or in some cases posts, a matching canopy, candle covers, assembly instructions. One of the big things I want to point out is that Century does not supply light bulbs. There is a vast array of light bulbs out in the industry right now, or out available in the marketplace, and they they happen to be unique to what you may want your bulb to look like if you see the bulb. And we really want to make sure that the consumer has the flexibility to get the bulbs that they really want to have rather than us dictating the type of bulb that needs to go in. Now, each one will show on our website and in the description the type and quantity of bulbs that are needed. So those would be things like a candelabra bulb versus a lamp bulb, the different types of wattage and or in this case lumens, and the quantity that you need. Here's an example of one of the assembly instructions, and it's just a nice, easy way to show how the fixture is not only installed by the electrician, but also gives a description if there are other parts like glass or things like that that need to be attached to the fixture, or shades in some cases as well. So you'll see it has just a nice little diagram as well as written instructions that you can follow along to make sure that the fixture is properly installed. So one of the very first questions that most people ask is about the scale of the fixture relating to the scale of the room, the scale of the table, things of that nature. So as you can see, we kind of created this little way. There's actually a rule of thumb or a set of equations that are out there that we're listing out here about how to appropriately scale your fixture to the room. So the diameter rule is your room length in feet and your room width in feet equals the fixture diameter. The height rule is your room height times 2.5, and then you translate that just into inches. So this is a little complex when you see it this way or read it this way in the words. So I have these little graphics made up, and we can get these accessible to a lot of our dealers and a lot of our showrooms so that they have these at their fingertips so that they can really kind of reference back to this. And I think this makes it a lot more clear. So if your room is 16 feet by 8 feet, so 16 plus 8 is 24, the perfect diameter fixture for that is 24 inches. Now, if you're dealing with a square or hexagonal fixture, it would still be 24 inches square or 24 inches across the diagonal of that. Now, again, I just want to emphasize this is a very basic rule of thumb. I think especially in today's world, things seem to get a little bit bigger. People are wanting to go a little more grand. And so overscaling or even underscaling is totally fine. Often, even in a room 16 by 18, you may have a couple different settings. It may not just be a center light that needs to hang in there. You may want one that sits in the corner that's over a small little sitting area or something of that nature. So again, it's a very generic rule of thumb, but it's something as a good starting point when somebody asks about the scale. So the height, and again, in a normal space, anything that you're hanging that doesn't have something under it, meaning that people can walk under it, doors may be opening under it, you want to maintain this minimum 7.5 feet from the floor. That will cover most doorway openings and the height of the majority of the people that will be walking through that space, and they won't bang into the fixture. So that's just sort of a general thing on the hanging height. But for the space itself, sort of relationship to the space. So if you have a cathedral ceiling or you have an extra high room or even an extra low room, the way you would want to do it is your room height. So in this case, again, the nice graphic, 11 feet times 2.5 is 27.5, but drop the feet, just change it to inches. So your height, the height of the fixture should be 27.5 inches high. So that's the height of the fixture, right? So in an 11-foot room, a nice size fixture is going to be anywhere from 27 to almost 30 inches tall. If you're in a lower room, you probably want a little bit smaller fixture, so 24, maybe something like that. So again, just a nice little general rule of thumb to follow along just in scale and proportion. One of the big questions too, especially in the dining room, comes to when it's hanging over a dining space. Very often, you'll hear people talk about this, that the bottom of the fixture should be between 30 and 36 inches from the tabletop. So some of that is a bit subjective. If the chandelier or lighting piece that you have has a lot of density to it, you can't see through it very well, you might want to err on the side of hanging a little higher. But if it's a nice open fixture, you can sometimes hang it a little bit lower just because it has a more intimate feel. And then the size of the fixture related to the dining table, and I'll go to the next slide because it makes it easier. So there's your height, 30 to 36 inches above a tabletop surface. But when it comes to the size of your table, so a diameter between the table length at 60 inches, which is a relatively small table, so half of that is 30 inches. So the idea is you want to be somewhere between half the width of your table to 3/4 the width of your table. And that just is a nice general rule of thumb again for that proportion over a dining table. This works whether it's a rectangular or a round table. So you just sort of keep in mind how that relationship works between the fixture and the table. Hallways and stairways tend to be a little bit more complex. Again, the main thing, especially when you're walking under something, you want to maintain that 7.5 feet of space from the bottom of the fixture to the floor, just for safety purposes. And then in a hallway, like you see in this graphic, so an 8-foot hallway, you want about a 20-inch diameter fixture. Now, again, you can probably go a little bigger. Not many people have an 8-foot wide hallway in their home. Most of them are going to be closer to like 3 feet to 4 feet, but the math still works. This was just to make nice, easy numbers. And you want to kind of space things depending, again, on the scale of the fixture. You want to come up with a nice repetition of the hall, of the lighting within the hall, just depending on how long that hallway is. So again, just a quick little reference sheet of some of these little items and some of these little tidbits on how to scale fixtures into a space. And then that last little graphic down there in the bottom right hand, it talks about something called a Kelvin guide. And hopefully most of you at this point have heard of a Kelvin. And the Kelvin, which is a really important aspect to lighting and has become a much more talked about topic ever since we have moved to LED lights and away from incandescent lights. The typical incandescent light that we all grew up with was what was considered 2700 Kelvin. So that's the rating, that's the color of light, if you think about it from that point. A single candle, just the single candle, has a 2200 color rating. The incandescent is a little brighter, and these obviously can go all the way up. And I think when people first started seeing incandescent, they always said, "Ooh, I don't like it because the light looks blue." And that's because most of those lights were up in that 4,000 and higher. Typically, I will say in a kitchen, so if you were going to put something over, say, a kitchen island that was a decorative fixture, you might still want to go a little higher than the 27 and go to like a 3,000. And that's kind of right there, a sweet spot in the middle where you have kind of a white light, but it doesn't start to turn blue quite yet. The nice thing about that 2700 Kelvin rating is that it has that nice, cozy, relaxing feeling. It brings that sort of warmth and vibe that decorative lighting is really intended to give. And it's what incandescent provided for many, many decades. So just keep in mind, again, it's a Kelvin rating. All bulb companies now put their Kelvin mark on the fixture. You'll sometimes see terminology that may say, equal to incandescent or something of that nature, but that's really what they're talking about is the color. So just to be clear that incandescent bulbs have been phased out as of August of 2023. Now, you can still find incandescent bulbs out on the marketplace. Inventory will take many years for it to be absorbed. So it's still out there. And in the incandescent world, everybody wants to talk and use the term wattage. So what everybody referred to as 60 watts is no longer really a good term when you're talking about LED because the whole point of a light emitting diode, that's what LED stands for, is that it uses much less energy. And now that we have moved into the LED phase, the importance does become about the lumens, which is the amount of light that the bulb produces, as opposed to the wattage, which is the energy consumption. So the energy consumption of an equivalent LED bulb is typically 85% less energy, and it lasts 25% longer. So you also see that in the cost of bulbs. You'll notice that LED bulbs have really, the price is much greater than what you're typically used to seeing. So nice little easy conversion. And again, we need to sort of start working and talking in the language of lumens as opposed to wattage. But that typical 60-watt incandescent bulb produces about 800 lumens. If you think about it, a single candle produces 1 lumen. So having a 60-watt bulb is like having 800 candles in your space. Most people will recommend that almost all fixtures that you put in your space should be on dimmers. Almost all LED bulb manufacturers now make their bulbs dimmable, which is a really important aspect. And I'll show you on some of our lamps how we work with dimmable sockets as opposed to three-way sockets. So again, going to lumens, big thing, not wattage, but here's a nice little conversion chart to make it really easy when people ask that question. And you can see the difference in the amount of wattage and the amount of energy that gets saved going from a 60-watt incandescent down to what is a 9-watt LED bulb that still produces the same amount of light for much less energy. So one of the other big questions people ask is the type of bulb. And on bulb packaging, they tend to have jargon on there that doesn't make any sense, like an A shape, when what we really want to know is it a standard bulb like the one I took out of my lamp, or what does this thing look like? And I can tell you that I'm showing the 4 most common types of bulbs that are used in residential. There are thousands of shapes and types and styles and sizes. What we're really dealing with are the A shape, which is the standard bulb that you're used to seeing in a lamp, and the candelabra or the flame tip bulb. And underneath there, you notice I added another little piece of jargon, an E26 socket and an E12 socket. And what that refers to is the threading. So in the United States and most of North America, South America, the E26 threaded socket is what is used for most lamps, and an E12 is the threading for a candelabra. So those are really the 2 aspects that you are going to be asked about. It really doesn't change the kind of talking points that most people want to hear, which are the word standard bulb or candelabra bulb. You can still use those. But when you're looking at some of the documentation, some of the tear sheets, and even bulb boxing, packages, they all say E26 or E12, and that just gets a little confusing. So I wanted to clarify that a little bit. So that's really kind of the bare bone basics of the lighting. And now what I will do is kind of have my producer come in, and we will start showing some of the actual pieces that we now have on display here in our showroom in High Point. So I'm going to turn this off and jump onto her little program.
And just as a quick reminder, we will have the replay of this out on Designer Studio under our education tab. And this is a great little, I think it's a PDF that you probably had that loaded up in, or we can convert that to a PDF out of PowerPoint. Comer and or Alexa or I can get this out to you. So if you needed this little PowerPoint presentation to help teach or maybe educate your staff, we're happy to provide that for you. Just shoot us a quick little email or text, and happy to get that out there to you in a hurry.
Okay. Is that me? Am I back?
We can hear you, and you look like $1 million, my friend.
Oh, thank you.
Can you hear me? So
yes, I can.
As a quick reminder, do your best if you can to speak into the camera, because I know you guys are going to be on the hop and moving around.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that, Guy.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So welcome into the High Point showroom. And I'm going to start with one of our floor lamps. So this is a really elegant, delicate floor lamp called our wishbone, because of the little wishbone little detail that we have here. I want you to pick up, though, on the bronze finish that we have. We actually developed this soft brass finish that has this really nice feel to it and character. And a lot of you, if you've ever worked with other companies, you hear the term a live finish often. And what a live finish means is that is unfinished or untreated brass or bronze or nickel or some other material, and it will continue to change its color over time. What we are using is not a live finish. So the finish that you get will be the finish that this stays and will look this way for as long as you own your wonderful piece of lighting from Century. Right? The wishbone lamp has a nice scale to it. You can see that it's really just about 50 inches tall. It's kind of perfect over a nice little sitting area where you may not have room for a large table to sit next to it. We do feature in the wishbone, it actually has the pull chains, and unfortunately we have a few of our outlets and things have been turned off for photography reasons. But this is a great lamp, perfectly sized for, again, like a little seating area. All right, I'm going to go to our Marseille fixture. So this is a really beautiful, again, done in the soft bronze. And one of the greatest things about this is this beautiful cast glass decorative leaf. So these leaves were actually molded in clay and then turned into a model and then ultimately recast in this glass, giving it this beautiful sort of textured feel so that it distorts the light a little bit and doesn't show super high bright spots in it. So it's a really nice, elegant fixture. As I mentioned, it's in the bronze finish. It's perfectly scaled at about 17.5 to 18 inches in diameter. As you can see, sort of here, sitting over a rectangular table, we hung two of them, which kind of works out perfectly because it's not so large that it's too deep over the table. But if this were a single round table, that 18 inches would be perfect for something that's between about 54 inches and 60 inches in diameter. So great scale for that home, kitchen nook, things of that nature. The Marseille has a wonderful matching sconce that goes along with it, matching the glass as well as the finish. And one thing to point out is just a practical aspect in doing the design of these. The whole point of having the glass match on the chandelier as well as on the sconce is that in that off chance that somebody were to damage or lose a piece of glass, where it's easy for us to replace. We don't need to know necessarily whether it came from a sconce or the chandelier, because we know that that glass will fit on both. So it's just a nice extra little feature that we designed into it. This is our Lucerne lantern. You'll also see this in the soft brass. We're going to see another version of this in our natural steel finish in a little bit. Beautiful at 18 inches square, 24 inches high. Again, this is sitting over a table that's 54 inches in diameter. And so you can kind of see how perfectly scaled that is. This one is actually hung about 27 inches off the table surface. So the reason it's a little lower than our rule of thumb is it is a much lighter, airy fixture, so it can kind of handle having it sit a little bit lower. You'll notice that in our lanterns, we don't include glass panes because glass is just one of those elements that tends to get dirty. It's also something that's easy to break down the road.
Hey, Justin, real quick, had a question for Christina. She was asking, my clients constantly ask if the lamps are Tri-Light ready. Would a Tri-Light bulb work in the table lamps and floor lamps?
A what light?
Tri-Light, I think maybe like 3-stage. I assume that's what that Christina is referencing.
Yeah, so what's happened in time, and actually this is a good example. We'll come over to one of our bamboo lamps and I'll show you the difference. So with LED bulbs, they don't really do well with three-way bulbs. So what we did is all of our sockets are these nice solid brass dimmer sockets. And so what you're really after is a dimmable bulb that can then kind of increase the light as well as decrease the light, as opposed to the three-way. Three-way sockets, don't really work well with the new LED technology. And so getting everything migrated over to the dimmers is just a much better methodology behind it. Hopefully that answers that.
Christine, let us know when you have a second.
So next up is our Turrell fixture. So this was actually a great design that was inspired by a piece of jewelry. And it's these columns of glass. It also has a little bit of a feel of a cityscape. These are frosted glass. It has an integrated LED fixture. These all come with a little diffuser on the bottom of them so that you don't ever look up and see the light up underneath of it when you're sitting down below the level of the light. You always want these fixtures to look as beautiful on as they do off. I can tell you, even though we won't turn the lights off, this is a really beautiful structural fixture. This also has a lot of density. So this is a good one that if you are going to hang this over a dining table, maybe hang it at that 30, 32 inches, something like that. Because if your eyes go through it or seeing at that same level, you wouldn't really be able to see across the table to somebody else. The Tyrrell comes in both our soft nickel finish as well as our soft brass over on this side. And just as a point of interest, I did leave the diffusers out of these so that you can see that it's a single strip of light that goes all the way up and through. And that's what gives it sort of a more even glow. These come with, the Tyrrell series comes with a 3-light sconce, also in the soft brass or soft nickel. And there's also a single light. Now, I don't have the single light hanging here today, but I think you can imagine what just one of the single tubes would look like.
Hey, Justin, real quick, our friend Jessica was asking, will all the lamps come standard with the dimmable switch? I think I remember seeing pull chains maybe on the floor lamp.
The only one that does not is that currently is the Wishbone lamp has a pull chain and it has 2 bulbs in it. So you can do either one on or both on. So that you have that control on that. But all the other lamps, both floor and table, have dimmers.
Thank you very kindly.
Yeah. So since we saw the Lucerne earlier in the bronze, this is in our natural steel finish. So it reads black. And I think when you first saw this, when we first walked in the room, it kind of reads as that dark black. It's not quite a true black. It has this beautiful little bit of a metallic feel to it, much like natural steel. So it has just a nice little aesthetic to it that's a little bit different than straight black. You can tell it's also not super bright, shiny. You know, it just has a really nice, delicate feel. One of our great lanterns, the Maison lantern. This is generous in scale. It's 24 inches. It's hexagonal, 30 inches tall, 4 lights. This one we're showing in chalk, our chalk white finish. It has just a really nice depth to the texture and gives it that a little bit more authentic feel for this style of lantern. We also have a version of the Maison in our light verdigris finish. So this is that feeling of when bronze and brass start to age, it starts to have that, because there's so much copper in the bronze, it starts to turn green, but you also have these other tones within it. And so this is this beautiful light verdigris finish, again, on the Maison lantern, no glass, beautiful parchment candle covers. And we'll skip over here. The other light verdigris finish we're showing on our cathedral lantern. And this one is a little bit larger. So this is about 26 inches in diameter, or it's a hexagon truly, but it's 26 inches across. 6 lights. You see the 2 tiers of lights, just a nice, real elegant piece. Great for like an entryway, but would also work in a vaulted ceiling, you know, for like a family room setting, that type of thing. So let's do the lamps first, the table lamps. Sorry.
Justin, we're getting a ton of interest on the hanging fixtures and chandeliers. And one great question came from our good friend Gloria up in DC. Hey, Gloria, asking, can we order additional chain or wire for chandeliers that maybe have vaulted ceilings or a lot of space to cover?
Perfect. Thank you, Gloria. I can't wait to get them up there and see you. Every fixture will come with 14 feet of wire and 6 feet of chain. Now, ahead of time, when you're placing your order, if you need extra chain, you simply say, yes, we need an extra chain set. You will get an extra 6 feet of chain at no additional charge. If you order that chain after you've placed your order, there will be a small charge for the additional chain because we have to ship and pack it completely separate. The reason for the 14 feet of wire is just in case you have a space that does require that full 12 feet of chain, you still have another 2 feet of wire for the electrician to work with before he has to cut or add any additional wire. The unfortunate thing is that if you needed more wire, you'd really have to work with an electrician to splice additional wire to the fixture. That's not something we can add, but 14 feet will typically cover 95% of the settings that you're going to find these pieces in. Because these are meant to be residential scale, not super commercial, super overscale pieces.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Okay. One of the table lamp series that we have, we showed you the bamboo briefly, and I'll go over the bamboo a little bit more depth, but is the Kazan. So the Kazan lamp has this real beautiful, elegant shape to it. It's not a complete round piece. It has this sort of like low, organic, roundish shape to it. We offer these in two sizes. You're seeing the large as well as the small. And then all of them come in the three different finishes that you see. This is a tea stain crackle on the petite one. And then you have this plastered natural rattan. And you have just a clean regular rattan or natural rattan over on this side. So both sizes come in all three finishes. Really elegant, very nicely proportioned. Nice little bronze or brass finial top, and all with nice clean linen shades. We also have the ability, in the same vein as the question about the chain, we also have the ability to sell the shade independent. So should something happen to your shade, we can easily replace it because it has its own sellable SKU. So our really interesting group that we came out with to give our customers and your customers some flexibility is the Halo Double Shade Pendant. And what you're seeing here is just a nice little grouping of the three different materials that we offer. So we're offering the natural rattan or natural weave, a plaster, and a linen. And what's really nice about this double shade, I think you guys have all seen, if you've ever purchased lighting, you've seen shade pendants before. The halo really is a nice feature because the double shade gives that nice little halo of glow of light in between the shades. And you should probably see it a little bit more on the plaster than you do even on the linen because it doesn't glow through the plaster. But it has just a nice, a little bit more elevated, elegant feel to it. And you can also see if you get up on the chain is an oval to a round. So it's just a little bit more decorative in its appeal. And the whole point of the double shade series is there are two different styles of shade, one being the low coulis style, which is we're showing in the linen here, and this is an empire style in the woven right here. And then even the low and the tall, or the low and the deep, or shallow and deep, there's two sizes. There's a 15-inch and 30-inch. And then there's an 18-inch and a 24-inch. Oh, I had that backwards. It's 18 and 30 inches on the shallow size, and 15 and 24-inch diameter on the deep size, and then all three materials. So you have a really nice flexible way to feature, basically by using the type and size of shade to really fit the exact installation that you're looking for, whether it's in a kitchen, whether it's in a dining room, whether it's in an entryway. It just has a nice way to adjust the look and feel and scale of the fixture that you need to hang. The beauty of this shade is that it also works. We also do a 2-arm pendant as well as a floor lamp. We'll come look at the floor lamp very quickly. So this is the 30-inch shallow woven shade on the floor lamp, and you can see it has this really nice, graceful arc, being able to pull that fixture in, or being able to pull light into a sitting area, or even if it's in a dining area, it can sit over a table. Nice, beautiful, dark emperador base, and a dimmer floor switch as well. And then it also comes with as a double bar pendant. So again, you can get two different size shades to go on the double bar pendant. And again, in both the woven as well as the linen, as well as the plaster. Oh, one note on the floor lamp. We don't offer the plaster lamp on the floor lamp, the plaster shade on the floor lamp, simply because of its weight would actually pull the arc down a little too far. It would not make it safe. So one fixture, the Nell. So this is the sconce version of the Nell. Again, in that beautiful soft brass, nice linen shade. One nice feature about the way these shades are designed and mounted is they don't twist. They're not on a bulb clip. They're actually mounted onto the top of the candle cover. nice and tight, so you never have that feeling of, oh, I can't get my shades to fit straight. There's also a chandelier version. We actually skipped it. We'll have to go back and look at it. But there's a chandelier version of this that's got 6 of them on there. And again, what's nice about that is it's easy for us to change out a shade should something get soiled or damaged or something of that nature. So let's go back to the bamboo lamp real quick. So here is the floor lamp version of the bamboo. And again, on the dimmer. But I want you to get close up on this and you'll see that this is cast from an actual piece of bamboo. And so you have these really nice, beautiful elements that make the little knuckles are different sizes. You also see where the sprouts would have come out. And it just has this really nice, elegant feel for that natural bamboo aesthetic that we were after. We'll go quickly back to the Nels chandelier that I forgot. Excuse our showroom, we've been doing photography, so things have moved around. But this is the Nel that is in the soft nickel finish. The soft brass, obviously, it comes that way as well. And the sconces that we previewed also come in the nickel. You'll even notice that on the shade fitting, the shades that go on the nickel fixture have nickel fittings and vice versa with the brass. So everything is color coordinated and really nicely detailed. Makes this for a great fixture. This one, by the way, is 35.5 inches in diameter. So a little bit more generous than some of the lanterns, but just a really great fixture. Okay, we got to go find the Antibes, and that's our last one. All right. Oh, no, there's 2. Guy, were there any other questions along the way?
People just want to know how you got so handsome. That's my question. Hold on. No, a lot of just good interaction here. You've been answering on the fly. I think when we get to the end, I want to show a couple things to a couple people that have been asking. So keep going. You're doing wonderful.
There's the Halo double shade floor lamp with the linen shade. Perfect over this little desk setting. Sorry for the long walk. Goodness. Just want to get back to the old. So this beautiful Antibes floor lamp, again, has a bit of a deco feel to it. Again, that beautiful soft brass finish. The bottom portion of it covered in this wonderful leather. 3 lights, and of course it is also on a dimmer, so you can really get the right mood with these lamps. Beautifully shown. So skip through here. Ooh. We'll get to our last piece here. Second. Beautifully turned Davis lamp. This is an all oak wooden turned floor lamp, base and stem with a natural jute shade. And again, on the dimmer, this one isn't plugged in, but just a really, really beautiful sense of floor lamp. Gives you this nice casual feel with this one, as opposed to some of the other ones that are a little bit more proper and refined. And that was kind of the thing, especially with the Kazan, having that eggshell crackle is a really nice, more elegant look, but down to the rattan gives you a more casual feel to it. So that's the lighting that we presented at market this last month. It's almost been a month. All of these items will be in stock as of the end of July. So we'll be looking to ship out a lot of lighting in through August and September. And we have about another 35 or 40 SKUs, new designs coming out in the fall. So we hope everybody is excited as we are to come and see those new pieces as well.
Justin, as usual, thank you so very much. That's outstanding. Lots of great interaction. I was at market with you and our customers, over 2,000 customers came through. and we're blown away. We had great placement of this product. Unlike some other brands, it is not like overly saturated. A couple quick questions. One is like, what do you wish every designer knew about this lighting line? Give me one or two things you just kind of wish, hey, man, I wish they understood this. It could be the material, or it could be the service, or it could be the quality. What do you wish they grasped from this?
Well, I think it's a little combination of things. I think that it is the quality of the design, how versatile it is within the Century Group to really that it will fit with so many of our different collections that we do. That it's just almost like universally acceptable to have all these different designs. They can fit with things that are transitional to traditional to a little bit more modern because we're providing things with different materials and different elements and different styles of the lighting. The other is that we've really built a very robust behind the scenes customer service related tools for things like replacement parts for shades, for extra chain, for canopies, for the little quick links that connect the chain to the canopies, candle covers, and things of that nature. So even the harps that are used on the lamps, all of these things are available for replacement. And it really just helps because as much as we anticipate everything going perfectly, we know that in the world of furniture and interior design, not everything is perfect every single time, and things happen. So we've been very mindful to work around those and even to design around some of those little sticking points that happen when it comes to lighting. So it's just something, and again, it comes from the history that I've had for the last 30 years, 32 years of dealing with high-end lighting, that those are just elements that we know and kind of designed into and really plan for the future.
Are these items, are they manufactured and packed for like UPS or FedEx, or do these
Great
have to be
point.
shipped on on a big furniture truck carrier?
Yeah, so thus far, the ones that you've seen, all of these can ship by a FedEx or UPS. So they fit in those standard boxes, so they can ship direct to consumer. Obviously, for a lot of our larger interior design clients, we can send them obviously to your holding warehouse so that you guys can do the last mile delivery. But do know that these are able to be shipped via FedEx and UPS to be direct delivered to the consumer.
One thing I'd like to point out that I heard a ton of from like our trade partners is that with a lot of the lighting lines that they carry, that those lines are often over distributed. They can be found everywhere from 200 websites to almost every street corner. And Century, we really take great pride in our ecosystem and our distribution partners. And people were super excited to find that we had this great lighting line, the expanse of this and its depth and breadth of initial offering. But also, hey, we're going to be stocking this very soon. And I'm looking through basically our stocking data. It looks like we'll have almost every piece you showed me and showed our team here in mid to late July, which is fantastic. It gives us time to kind of ramp up into the third quarter and into the selling season this fall. So just super excited about those things.
Yep, I appreciate that. Yeah, and I think also, we don't typically showcase a lot of our pricing right off the bat, but these pieces are priced very well with a lot of our competitors, and you can kind of insert all the brands that instantly come to mind. And these pieces are very, very well priced within that marketplace.
I was going to ask if Alexa, could you make me the host just for a second before we sign off? I wanted to show a couple of people just where to kind of locate this very quickly. Aha, look at you, hot diggity dog. Alexa, since I think you're the only one I can speak to, look on your screen and see if you can see the Century.
Yep, looking good, Guy.
Hey, how about that? One for one. I call my wife and my mom and tell them I did something right today. If you're looking, this is the actual centuryfurniture.com. This is basically what we call our consumer or public website. If you are here, you'll see these headers. Go under products to the far left and look right here. Comer and Alexa have already done a great job of listing lighting right there. If you click lighting for us, this will take you right into all of these beautiful items that we have listed. There are a couple existing items right here from our Grand Tour line. Those start with just an SA. as the first two digits. Anything new for us that Justin went over today is going to be SAA. So those first three digits actually denote our new introductions. Similarly, if you are on Designer Studio, which is our immaculate back end, I'll see if I can maybe pull into that real quick, or maybe we could take a quick look. And not everybody has access to this, but if you do, on Designer Studio, right up and through here, you can go under products real quick, just search furniture by type over here, scroll down, and then boom, right there is lighting. You can click on lighting right there, and it will take you to all of these. Another easier way, sometimes if you just type in lighting up and through here, it'll bring that same thing right back to you. We'll probably even add a little product category right here for you to jump right to that on Designer Studio. So lots of good information right there. Justin, as usual, outstanding presentation. Great things there to take people through, not just the product, but also the back end and all the beautiful romance that comes along with this. We're thrilled about this category, and on behalf of 900 employees here at Century and our wonderful team across the globe that is finding these unique materials and designers to bring to us, we're so thankful y'all joined us today. And a quick reminder, find the replay of this out on Designer Studio. In the meantime, if you have any questions, reach out to your local sales rep, your showroom manager. If you're trading with our RHF or Century showrooms, please reach out to us or your most trusted partners. We're all here to help you. Thank you so much. Alexa, thank you. Comer, thank you. And Justin, thank you as well.
Absolutely. Bye.
See you fine, folks.